San Antonio Spurs acquired Kawhi Leonard on a draft day trade for George Hill. George Hill shares the same last name as Grant Hill, who is a college legend at Duke University. Duke University's basketball team is coached by Mike Krzyzewski, also known as Coach K. Coach K has coached amongst hundreds of other players a guy named Seth Curry. Seth Curry's brother is named Steph Curry. Steph Curry of the Golden State Warriors wears number 30. 5 years ago, in 2012, I was 30 years old. In 2012, the NBA champion was the Miami Heat. I'm in Miami. This whole thing is a scam. Let's talk about the Western Conference Finals. I know I wrote a book, right? It's called Buy a Game, and it's free. Click the link down there. You got it.
DreAllDay.com.
What's good, everybody? Dre Baldwin, DreAllDay.com. Hope y'all enjoyed that. It took me a couple minutes to come up with it, but let's get into the Western Conference Finals here. We got the Golden State Warriors against the San Antonio Spurs. First, let's look at the challengers. The underdog San Antonio Spurs beat Houston in 6, as I correctly and accurately predicted, for the Western Conference semifinals. One thing they're missing, obviously, Tony Parker. You heard himself think it was his knee that he hurt, or was it a thigh muscle? I don't even remember. A lower extremity injury that Tony Parker suffered. He's not going to be around for the finals, and I think they could really use him, because Tony Parker, when he's healthy and not injured and really going like he does in the playoffs, he could give the Golden State guards some trouble, make them work on defense. But without him around, some other guys are going to have to step up. And looking at the starters, or the usual starters for the Spurs, of course we need to see a whole lot of a healthy Kawhi Leonard. So hopefully he's healthy for today's game one. I'm recording this on Saturday night. The game is today, Sunday, when you're watching this. Hopefully Kawhi is healthy, because obviously he's the best player the Spurs have, and he's going to have to kick some ass on both ends of the floor for the Spurs to win this series. LaMarcus Aldridge finally woke up the last 2 games of the Houston series, games 5 and 6. I don't know where he was in games 1 through 4. I don't know what you're going to get from LaMarcus Aldridge. He's one of these guys who shows up sometimes, and the other times he doesn't show up. He could have a very quiet game. He could have a quiet, solid game, but he can't have quiet, solid games in this series if they're going to beat this team, this Warriors team, with all the talent they have, as good as they are on offense and defense. LaMarcus Aldridge really got to step his damn game up and really come to play. And I think he's going to be getting guarded by guys like Zaza Pachulia, Draymond Green, Andre Iguodala, maybe David West, and Kevin Durant. LaMarcus Aldridge should be scoring on these guys. He got to score points on these guys. That 34 and 12 he had in Game 6 against Houston, he needs to be putting up 25-plus points, and he needs to be getting 10 to 15 rebounds every single game this series. That's just what he should do off. I'm not even saying that because of the matchups, who's going to be guarding him. This is just general principle. You're a max contract player. You're the second best player on the San Antonio Spurs team. People have already been saying this dude hasn't shown up for some games, and he absolutely has not shown up for some games for the Spurs here in the playoffs. You're a power forward, even though positions don't really matter in basketball anymore, but he's a big guy. Let's just say that. He's a big. These guys the Warriors are going to throw at him. Draymond and KD, I don't consider them bigs. I think they're more wings who can play big. And then you got bigs like David West and Zaza Pachulia. Like, neither one of them have the skill of a LaMarcus Aldridge. So just on principle alone, LaMarcus Aldridge is like when I play ball, or when I would play ball in college, me or one of my teammates was on my team, we playing pickup, and some bum dude is guarding my teammate. I'm like, yo, give my teammate the ball so he can just bust his ass, just on principle alone. All right, just keep giving him the ball to score on that dude, because that dude shouldn't be guarding him. That's the kind of frame of mind LaMarcus Aldridge got to bring to the game, because Golden State does not have anyone at a big position who can match up with him skill-wise. JaVale McGee, forget it. David West, forget it. Zaza Pachulia, forget it. LaMarcus Aldridge needs to get 30. Forget 25. He needs to be scoring 30. He needs to be calling for the ball, demanding the ball, and just going to work. And when you got his skill level, he can do that if he wants to. Now, if he's going to do that, we don't know. But if the Spurs are going to compete, they're going to need some games from LaMarcus Aldridge. It can't be Kawhi against the world. Kawhi is damn good, but he ain't going to beat the Golden State Warriors 4 times out of 7 by his damn self. Who else we got on the Spurs? Danny Green. Hopefully he wakes up and can knock down some threes. I haven't seen Danny Green play as great as he did in the, what was that, 2013 NBA Finals, or was that 2014? 2014 NBA Finals. Yeah, 14. He played so great in the 2014 Finals. I haven't seen him play that good since. If someone else has, let me know. I haven't seen it. Pau Gasol, he's on his last legs, but he's a veteran guy. He can give you shouldn't ask for more than 30 minutes a game out of Pau Gasol, and that's a lot. 30 minutes is a lot from Pau Gasol's legs, but if he can give you 20 to 30 minutes, he will grab rebounds. He can finish. He can make shots. And the Spurs obviously don't have the horses to go small against Golden State the way the Warriors will go small. Therefore, I think we're going to see Powell. We're going to see LaMarcus Aldridge. These two guys got to step their game up. They got to kick Golden State's ass and punish them for playing small. You got Powell, who's basically 7 feet. LaMarcus, who's what, 6'10", 6'11". They got to kill these guys. Even though I know both guys like to shoot jump shots, it's cool to shoot jump shots. I mean, you can shoot over top of a smaller guy, but they need to punish these guys when they play with these two bigs with that size down there. Manu Ginobili he's another guy who's on his last legs. Don't know how much we're going to get from Ginobili, but I think he's going to make some plays in this series. And being that the Warriors are so perimeter heavy, he's going to have an opportunity to have an effect on this game. Dejounte Murray, I'm not sure we're going to see him. Anderson, I'm not sure we'll see him. Dedmon, I'm not sure we're going to see him either. I don't think we're going to see too many of these guys in this series. Bertans, maybe we'll see a little bit of him. David Lee, we will definitely see. He's an active guy. Spurs got a lot of old players on their team. David Lee, another guy who I think will definitely help because he's athletic, he's quick, he can run, he can hit shots, he can finish, and he has that basketball IQ. So I think we will see some of him. But all these bigs that the Spurs have, just looking at these three, the three I think who are going to be playing, LMA, Powell, and who's the other guy that I just said? David Lee. I think maybe two of these guys you're going to see each game. I don't think we're even going to see all three of them every game unless the Spurs just decide to go all in on going quote-unquote big against the Golden State Warriors quote-unquote small lineup. I mean, you look at Golden State's starters. They got KD, Draymond. I guess Draymond's like the quote-unquote big because he's a strong guy. He has a strong base, so it's not like you can just overpower him down there. But you can play over the top of him if LaMarcus Aldridge decides to step his game up and do so. Then, of course, we got Kawhi Leonard. And Kawhi, we know what he's capable of. He needs to be the best player on the floor if the Spurs are going to win some games in this series. He needs to be the best player on the floor, better than everybody on the Warriors, and, of course, better than everybody on the Spurs. And then we got Jonathan Simmons. Now, Jonathan Simmons is a guy that I remember the opening night of the season, the Spurs played in Golden State. Simmons came in the game. He dunked on JaVale McGee. My dad texted me at like 1 in the morning because my dad's like a huge Spurs fan. He's been a Spurs fan since like the 80s, since David Robinson got drafted. He was texting me like, yeah, watch out for this dude, Jonathan Simmons. He's going to do this and that. During the season, Simmons was good, but he didn't play much. And in the playoffs, he's got an opportunity to play since the Spurs been short on guards. 18 points in the deciding game against Houston, so now many people are taking notice of him. They're going to need him this series. Dude is super athletic. He can create his own shot. He's really athletic. He can run the floor. He seems to understand where he's supposed to be on the floor with the Spurs, even though this is his first year with the team. After a couple years, he's been in the D-League. I want to see him play because they're going to need him. They're going to need his athleticism. They need his shot creation. They need him to make some plays offensively and defensively if they're going to win this series. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Jonathan Simmons can do. And looking at the rest of the Spurs roster, man, I don't see how you could not have him on the court. Like, he got to be on the court. The Spurs ain't got nobody else to put on the court. Who else is going to play besides him? So I'm looking forward to seeing Jonathan Simmons with an opportunity to show what he can do against some of the best guards out there, and Klay Thompson and also Stephen Curry. And if you want to call Kevin Durant a guard, he's going to get an opportunity to show his game. Let's just put it that way. Now let's look at the other side, the quote-unquote champions. They're not the champions, but the Western Conference, defending Western Conference champions, Golden State Warriors. I mean, what do we need to say about this team? Let's talk about the players who are going to be playing. So we got KD, we got Draymond Green, Zaza Pachulia, Klay Thompson, Steph Curry. That's the starting five. Then we have Andre Iguodala off the bench. Sean Livingston will be off the bench. We may see a little bit of David West. They want to pull him out of the mothballs off him. And I said Sean Livingston and maybe some JaVale McGee. So you got David West and JaVale McGee as their bigs. Neither one of those guys should really be playing in a very important game or at very important moments. I know JaVale can make some plays. I know David West can make some plays. But either Powell or LaMarcus Aldridge, if they're being guarded by either one of those guys, you got to get on the ball and say, yo, go to work on that dude. Just off principle alone. I'm not saying because they can't play. Just off principle alone, LaMarcus Aldridge, Warriors ain't got nobody on their roster who can guard LaMarcus Aldridge for a whole game, in my opinion, when LaMarcus wants to play. Now, when LaMarcus wants to play is the operative statement there, so we got to see. And when I say wants to play, that doesn't mean like he's on the court, but I mean he's like, yo, I'm an all-star. I've been an all-star before. I'm a max contract player. How they got Zaza Pachulia on? That's the kind of mind frame that I think he needs to bring if they're going to win in this series. Did I say that enough times? Golden State, I mean, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, Klay, Draymond, this team is pretty damn good. And I think if they just play how they've been playing, they're going to win this series unless the Spurs get what I said they need to get from 3 people. Jonathan Simmons needs to be a, I guess, X factor. I guess we're going to call him the X factor because he hasn't played that well all year because he ain't been on the court. So if he can play, give you 20 points a game all series, that's an X factor. That's a super X factor. Kawhi Leonard got to be the man. He got to be the best player on the floor on either team. And LaMarcus Aldridge got to just fucking show up and just play. That's the only way they can win this series. I don't need to say much about the Golden State Warriors. Draymond Green is Swiss Army knife all over the floor offensively. He's one of the best defensive players in the league. Him and Kawhi are maybe the 2 best defensive players in the entire NBA. Kevin Durant has been so efficient playing on this team with other scorers and shooters around him. He's so efficient offensively. He doesn't even have to take a whole bunch of shots to kill you with his scoring. His outside scoring, inside scoring, and the fact that he can get you 10 rebounds a game as well. His defense is overlooked. Steph Curry is Steph Curry. We already know. I ain't got to say nothing about Steph Curry. Klay Thompson is Klay Thompson. I ain't got to say nothing about Klay Thompson. One small thing is that the Warriors don't have Steve Kerr. Mike Brown will be coaching it. I think Greg Popovich is a better coach than Mike Brown, but you give Mike Brown the Golden State Warriors roster, Mike Brown may become the better coach just by default because all this damn talent they got. So I'm picking this series. I want to see the Spurs make it competitive. I would love to see this series go to 7 games because that means Jonathan Simmons and LaMarcus Aldridge came and they started playing. I would love to see that happen. But looking at this series, looking at the fact that Kawhi might miss game 1 as of the recording of this vid, I don't know if he's playing or not. Hopefully he does. Looking at he may not be 100% even if he does play. No Tony Parker. Not sure what Simmons is going to do because he hasn't done enough for me to bet on it. Not sure what LaMarcus Aldridge is going to do because he hasn't done enough for me to bet on it. Just because they got Greg Popovich and Kawhi, I say they can win 2 games. I say the Warriors in 6. Golden State wins this series in 6 games, finishing the series in San Antonio. They move on to the NBA Finals for the. We ain't gonna say who gonna play who in the finals, but let's just talk about this because we don't even know who won the East yet as of the recording of this video. Everybody, that's my pick. I want to hear your pick for the Western Conference Finals. Leave it down there in the comments. Make sure you leave the comment before the series starts. Don't wait till the game already started or one team won and then you start talking about who's going to win and why. No, leave a comment now before the series starts. Tell me why you pick who you pick, and then we'll see what happens. Everybody work on your game. DreAllDay.com. Watch out for the conspiracies.